This is Occupy Maine TV on Portland's Community Television Network.
Hi, I'm Brian Leonard.
And I'm Regis Tremblay. In this edition of the show, Brian Leonard brings you another segment of In the News. Bob Klotz will continue his reporting on the Occupy movement and our environment, and I will introduce you to the two newest members of our Occupy Maine TV team, Jennifer Hall and Carolee Oster. Occupy Maine TV is a new and innovative example of citizen journalism using the power of television and the internet to educate 99% of Americans whose rights and freedoms are being trampled upon by what I call the axis of evil, the insidious alliance between Congress, corporations, and Wall Street. It is our job to bring you the news and information that the corporate-owned mainstream media cannot and will not bring you. And now, here's Brian with the news.
Last week, Occupy Maine held the Soup or Pack event in Congress Square. The aptly titled Soup or Pack was a creative statement addressing the gross amounts of money diluting our political system. On one side of Congress Street, a soup line for the people and by the people, promoting free speech and goodwill to everyone, also known as the 99%, and across Congress Street, a dinner promoting the president's re-election bid with dinner plates ranging from $5,000 to $30,000. It was a beautiful evening with a positive energy and spirit which we always see with Occupy Maine's events. In the following clips, you'll notice a new face to Occupy Maine TV's show. Jennifer will be introduced later in the show. For now, let's see some of what Jennifer and Andre recorded at the event.
This is Jennifer Hall for Occupy Maine TV. I'm here today at Congress Square interviewing our fellow occupiers who have come to represent at the Obama Fancy Fundraiser event.
Corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! That corporate greed has got to go! Hey, hey!
Could you please tell me your names?
Amanda Farah.
Abby Moon.
Hi, Abby. Hi, Amanda. And what brings you here this evening?
Wanted to come out and welcome President Obama to Portland and maybe remind him who his constituents are and who he is elected to represent and work for. We hear the voice to remind him of that.
What's your poster say?
Mr. President, you need to work for the people, not Monsanto, Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and on and on and on.
What's your involvement with the Occupy movement?
I check in at things like this, and when Lincoln Park was set up, I would go there about once a week or so to their events if I could, and bring donations of food and company.
Say, I voted from the first time because I believed what candidate Obama said, but President Obama has turned out to be a bit of a different creature, and I certainly hope that the man who ran last time comes back because I think we need him, but what we don't need is more of the same, the broken promises and the corporate interests running our government.
So basically, it's the corporate interests that you really have an issue with.
Me, yes. Yes, absolutely.
I had a great time at the event myself. We love it when our corrupted government gives us a reason to rally back. So keep it coming, you illegitimate plutocracy. We all have no doubt you'll be back, so will we. And even better news, I'm happy to announce that Occupy USM was created recently. We will have a chance to meet a couple of their members momentarily. As promised, I'm here with Jake Lowry from Occupy USM. Jake, how's it going today?
Fairly well. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very good. I'm glad you're here. You have some great announcements. I'm really happy to hear. Yeah,
I'm psyched to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yep. So, Occupy USM.
Yeah, it's going really well. It's been sort of in the works since late February.
Right.
Some folks at USM who have been involved in Occupy, sort of thinking about ways to engage students who are, all in this sinking boat with us.
So important, I think. I feel that students get involved. It's
absolutely.
Yeah. How long ago did you start?
It was at the end of February. It's funny, we scheduled our first meeting for March 1st, and it ended up being a snow day.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So we had it a few days later, and we've been meeting regularly since then, and it's just been picking up steam.
Yep, Good deal.
Yeah.
So you have a new, you have something coming up, well, it'll be soon after this is broadcast, this show.
Yes, it is Thursday the 12th?
The 12th.
The 12th, next Thursday.
Yep.
Or this Thursday.
Set that date.
Yep, and it's at 1 p.m. At the University of Southern Maine Portland campus, right on the green behind Payson Smith and Luther Bonney.
Okay.
And it's called Beyond Botman Gate. And
All right.
this is about sort of recent decisions by the administration that have, continued to channel wealth towards the top administrators.
Right.
At the same time, they're consistently raising tuition and cutting academic programs.
Sounds familiar.
Yep, it's all the the corporatized trend that's happening at our public universities.
Like people, I'm going to assume, young and old, you're not just restricting this to students.
No, absolutely. It's a community event. It's going to be just really a big conversation with student and faculty about sort of the direction of public institutions and what we want out of them. Do we want them to be glorified job training and
Sure.
conveyor belt degrees, or do we want to give working class students and working class families affordable education that's centered around intellectual exploration and communities of learning, rather than just going to get the degree to get the service sector job.
Exactly. So at the event, I mean, you want people to bring signs, you want people to bring...
Yes. Bring signs, bring your voices, bring instruments.
And bring your iPhones or your cameras that can get video and audio. That's terribly important. Citizen journalists, my favorite.
Yes.
My favorite thing. So
Absolutely. And there's been, since this whole Botman Gate, as we're calling it,
Right.
Scandal has been unfolding.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of, folks who are teachers at USM, who are staff, lower level staff, who are sort of looking to us for what we're going to do, like how we're going to, get students engaged, to put pressure on the administration. We actually had a last-minute rally last Tuesday, and they had a police officer show up and a representative of the administration
Oh, really?
who came over to talk to us, and it turned out to be about 15 people came, and we just, sort of talked to him about what's going wrong, and it seemed like he had no idea, what our concerns were, and he was just trying to do like some damage control, and we kind of schooled him,
Right,
no
right.
pun intended.
Right.
So it's getting a lot of attention, and we hope to have people out there.
Good deal.
But student debt just became the biggest source of debt in the country, surpassing credit card debt, and the most indebted generation in American history are graduating without the jobs needed to get themselves out of debt. It's crazy. The best stimulus we could have is just a forgiveness of these debts, and
That's right. That's right.
the banks don't like that idea.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna figure this out and keep working on this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It hasn't happened yet. But I mean the increase in interest. But and we'll see you on Thursday. We'll bring
Yes.
our cameras and cover it as best we can.
Yes,
Hope for a
and
big turnout. I'm sure you do too.
everyone's invited. Everyone's welcome. There will be pizza.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. My favorite. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you very
and
much.
I'm so happy to hear of Occupy USM. It's incredible. It's a great thing. So thank you.
In this segment of the show, I'm very happy to introduce you to the two newest members of our Occupy Maine TV staff, Jennifer Hall and Carolee Oster. They've recently joined us. They've been trained in studio cameras and field cameras, and they've already been out doing their thing, interviewing people at important Occupy events. So, Kara, welcome to the show. We're very, very happy to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're involved with Occupy.
Well, thanks for having me here, Regis. I'm glad to be on Occupy Maine TV. I'm originally from New York, and then I moved up to Bar Harbor to attend College of the Atlantic for a couple years. And I happened into Occupy MDI, which is Occupy Mount Desert Island. I started on October 15th, and that's how I got involved with the Occupy movement. And I just moved down here this past month and started working with Occupy Maine, and I'm learning a lot about TV production and just trying to get information out.
Well, that's terrific. Now, you just came back from a trip down to New York City. Tell me a little bit about what was going on down there.
Well, they were rallying against the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yeah.
And there's a lawsuit that just started last week on the 29th, and it's against the government to restrain certain legislation in the bill. Basically in the bill it says that American citizens or anyone can be detained indefinitely without due process. So there was a march after the hearing, and marched to Union Square to promote awareness of the NDAA.
Really? Yeah. And a lot of us have been inspired, and we are not going away. There is some hope. We may get snuffed out. Yeah. But we will inspire, instead of like those guys over there, the police department. All right? What are they going to say to their children or their grandchildren 150 years from now? What did you do when this great movement was happening? We spied on people. That's what we did. Are you serious, grandfather? That's what you did? You spied on people? We beat them with clubs. That's what they did. And what did you do? You ignited a dream.
Due process. When do we want it? Forever. What do we want?
Due process. When do we want it?
Forever.
Rest up. We multiply. Occupy.
We multiply. Hey, we say no way. NDAA. We say no way. NDAA. We say no way. NDAA. We say. Occupy, settle down. United will never be defeated. People, united will never be defeated. That's the sound of the beat. That's the sound of the beat. That's the sound of the beat. What are you going? What are you coming? Keep going. Marching. All day, all week, Occupy Wall Street. All day, all week.
What was that videotaping down there? Weren't you afraid of getting arrested?
Oh, it was sort of difficult because when there's that many bodies, you get jostled a lot. And also there was a lot of police presence there.
Kara, tell me, what do you hope to accomplish here in Portland, working with us on Occupy Maine TV? What's your area of interest? What do you hope to do?
Well, in my experience, there's a lot of issues that people don't know about. And whether that's because there's not coverage of it on mainstream television or just because, you know, it's not out there for public awareness, people need to know these things. There are things that will affect their daily lives, they'll affect the lives of their children in the future, and they are important to understand.
Jennifer, we're happy to have you as part of our Occupy team. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to join Occupy Maine TV staff.
Well, that's a story I really love. It's sort of an example of how following a whim can change your whole life. I had signed a petition that Jennifer Lunden wrote about Maine Care, about the cuts that LePage was planning on making and has made to some extent. And in that email that she sent me about the petition, there was an invitation to volunteer to be interviewed for Occupy Maine TV about being a Maine Care recipient. And I immediately contacted you, and within the next 2 days we were meeting and you interviewed me. And I'm a media studies student at USM, and was looking for an internship, and I asked you about that, and here I am.
Well, that's
Serendipity.
terrific. So you come with a little bit of a background in production. You've been learning studio cameras, studio production.
Right,
You took a class on the field camera
right,
here at CTN5.
which was great.
Yeah, and you've already gone out and fulfilled your first assignment.
I know.
Tell us a little bit about that assignment.
Well, that really blew my mind because I'd just taken the field camera class, and we happened to be on vacation at USM that week. And then this Occupy Obama's Ritzy fundraiser event came up, and I was like,
PAC.
Super PAC, right? And I was like, let's do it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to go interview people. I want cameraman Andre here to go down there with me, and let's just do it. And I never had done anything like that before in my life, and it was just really, really a great experience.
Yeah, and you interviewed Mike Shaughnessy. Tell us a little bit about that interview.
No idea who Mike was. So it was just a great revelation to me to meet him in the first place. And we had a great interview because he's so articulate.
So do you think that the Occupy movement is one that is inclusive? Is that how you think of it? Like, what is your perception of it, and compared to what do you think the general public's perception of it is?
Well, yes, I think it's very inclusive, and I think the general public is often tainted by the media, and the media, being that the basic precepts is that corporations have too much control, and when the media is owned by the corporations, there's a natural inclination to look disparagingly upon it. But the fact is that at the same time they're adopting the language of Occupy, and so at that point you have really, if not you haven't won the battle, obviously, because it's going to go on and on, but you've made major inroads. When anybody says 1% or they say 99%, they're speaking the language that Occupy started, and that's huge because it's so much part of our lexicon right now.
So do you think there's a chance that just with the concept of 99%, and if that got through to Obama, that he would feel like he could take risks to make the changes that we want because we got his back?
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
Well, I think it is. You know, Roosevelt said an interesting thing, and I paraphrase, but a woman came up to him one time and said, you know, all these things that she thought should happen, and Roosevelt said, you know, I agree totally with everything you're saying. The problem is you haven't made me make those changes. And it's like, yeah, you know, and it takes that. And so in a way, what we're in kind of the backbone business. You know, we have to be able to be loud enough and to be, you know, kind of pointed enough that it forces change to happen. And I think I think the Occupy movement has done that very well to this point.
Yeah.
We need to keep it going, and we need to be creative in how that we end up doing that. So.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's
You're
good to
welcome.
talk to you.
Thank you for coming on.
So we're really happy to have you. We're looking forward to big things. A little pressure here to finishing school in this last month.
I just it's head down, power through time for the last month at USM, and after that I'm going to be able to really devote my time to Occupy Maine TV, and I am thrilled with this development in my life and to be part of this and to have met you, Regis.
Well, we're very happy to have you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Klotz here at Lincoln Park, former encampment of Occupy Portland. And you may be wondering why on April the 2nd I am here with a Hawaiian shirt, and I'll tell you about that in another segment, but at the moment we're here to chat about our environment on Occupy Maine TV. Now I'm going to show you a few pictures, before and after. It's pretty ugly, really. Pre and post-operative, essentially, except that this degree of surgery really doesn't have to occur. If a medical person left your body scarred like this, it would be malpractice to the most severe degree. Try to guess what they are. I'm sure they look familiar, but for many, if not most, it's not well known because it's intentionally hidden, sort of like the caskets of the war dead coming into Dover, Delaware during the Bush administration. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist, and no one really has any responsibility. And it tends to be in the land of the oppressed and the voiceless, the economically and politically suppressed areas of the country, but full of natural resources and often few people. Yep, places like Maine. The land where people can't drink their water, or they have to watch their children get sick and die, and where people are desperate for work, so they'll take anything for some semblance of survival. They'll even vote for the guy who's going to bring this all down on their heads. How can they not when they're told it's about jobs and cheaper gas and those socialists taking away your rights and charging you more taxes? All the while, that same guy is taking away your rights and your protections and putting the money in his pocket here in the land of opportunity. And it's been going on forever, and it needs to stop. These are pictures of the tar sands productions areas, the areas that the East-West Highway is going to go through and what it could look like, and the reality of mountaintop removal. Surprisingly similar in appearance because they are, at the core, exactly the same thing: destruction of our environment and us for profit. Plain and simple. And I don't like using this term, but it applies. This is what the current economic rape of our state will end up looking like. The wheels are in motion for the state to be cut open and gutted for business, with most of that business not even being in our country. Maine open for business is our natural resources going out of state to Canada, China, and other places overseas. This is the reality. With this guy, the 30% governor of Maine, representing far less than 30% of Mainers. And this being the closest the common man is going to get to getting the attention of the president, unless you have $5,000 to be in the same room with him. It can feel hopeless. But there is hope. Hope that comes from concerned but brave citizens because they know there is another way, and the facts, including true foundations of this country, its principles and declarations of freedom and rights and liberty. These authentic patriots, including those standing in the cold outside of the Portland Museum of Art when the president was in Portland recently, held their own super PAC and are asking us all to wake up to the realities that we are living with and going to live with. I've turned down the volume on their protests because this is where we are now, with the future bleak. No voices. There is hope, but there is much to do. Please go to this ongoing petition to express your feelings about the Maine State Legislature recently passing a resolution in support of the Keystone XL pipeline. Cynthia Dill was an impressive leader in opposing this pseudo-legislation, and let's consider Mallory Shaughnessy's comments.
If I were up in Augusta today as a representative for District 115, I would definitely not have voted to pass that. The XL pipeline, it's a dirty process. We're being touted all these jobs that it's going to, save the future of all the workers in America. It's not going to bring those kind of jobs. It's not good for our environment. It's not going to help our economy, and I wouldn't vote it for a resolution supporting it. They're wasting their time doing that when really they should be tending to the people's business. We got people out here hurting. The economy is still in need of work, and they're raising. They're cutting taxes on the rich in this state. They just passed $200 million last year, and now we've got austerity measures, and we're cutting out Medicaid and everything here, and they're spending time passing resolutions on things that don't pertain to us and that are not good for our environment.
The corporate welfare funding of a feasibility study for the East-West Highway for Canada was passed, and Governor LePage signed the bill. Nonetheless, there are many working diligently to oppose this highway to the sellout of our natural resources, including at a recent Occupy Maine statewide event. Be sure to stay in touch with Chris Buchanan and others at Defending Water regarding this matter. And then there's LD 1853, the mountaintop removal legislation here in Maine. Fortunately, there is the power of knowledge and facts to counter this legislation. Consider this link to the National Resources Council of Maine, which relates to their sponsorship of a recent lecture at Bowdoin College regarding mountaintop removal. With these photos from his presentation, here's Chuck Keeney, who talked about the potential destruction of Blair Mountain in West Virginia, where similar political and economic dynamite is literally used. Clearly, there's a need for direct and other action, including taking on the major landowner here in Maine, Irving Oil.
If you want to put it in the terms of the Occupy movement, Blair Mountain is the history of the 99%. That's what it is. And it's the 1% that has prevented this history from being told. So, and if you want more people to understand about economic injustice, about how a system of control can keep a region and even a country in poverty, and how that can cause poverty, then it's very relevant to what the Occupy movement is involved in, to the kind of stands that they're making. In Wall Street, I mean, it is. Central Appalachia is a place that over 70% of the land is absentee owned. And it's people who are far away making decisions that mire a region in poverty. And isn't that something about the Wall Street, what happened in 2008, people that were far removed from everyday life making decisions that affect millions of people and prevent people from living up to their own potential and being able to partake in what a good democracy should be able to offer.
Amen. And be sure to check out the Hawaiian shirt segment, coming to an Occupy Maine TV link soon. And be sure to stay in touch, including for information regarding these various issues and the many Earth Day events across the state mentioned in a previous show, and available through this contact link.
That's it for this edition of Occupy Maine TV. Thanks for watching, and please share the show with others by posting it on Facebook and sending the link to your friends and acquaintances. We value your feedback. Please contact us with news items, your activities and protests, and ideas for us to cover. And because our all-volunteer team does have significant production costs, your financial support will keep us going. You can donate online by visiting our website at www.occupymetv.org, or by sending a check to our office at 644 Congress Street, Portland, Maine, 04101. And be sure your check is made out to Occupy Me TV. Thanks again for watching.